Yours, damn right, it's better than yours. I can teach you.
What it is, ho? Oh, what's up? Wetwet was eating Jocelyn. Wetwet was definitely clocking Joseline's tea and eating her down. And I loved every single second of it. So let's just go ahead and get into the mess. Let's get into the mess of this review, baby. It's going to be a mess. This episode was really good. I absolutely loved it. Let's go ahead and get into the review for Joseline'S Cabaret, Texas. But first, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that post notification bell so you know every single time I post a new video. It's MessyMya. It's the Messy Mob Girl. We are lit over here. Trust and believe that. And yeah, let's get into the mess. All right, y'all. So the episode resumes exactly where we left off last episode with Danny versus Wetwet, girl. It's just a mess. Like, you know what I'm saying? She's getting into it with Danny. Andrea. These fights are weak. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Kent and one of them really get down like that. Danny can't fight. Wetwet can't fight. Andrea can't fight. So the fights are very it's just not very interesting. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Wetwet is always gonna pop her shit. So I'm here for that. You know what I'm saying? So right after that, Wetwet starts to twerk. Okay, I feel like everybody looks a mess, especially Drea and Wetwet. Andrea and Wetwet looked a hot ass mess after their fights. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, so Wetwet and Andrea go another round again, very much weak. Can't name one of them fight. Raven is dancing in Andrea's wig. I'm telling y'all, Raven is also a wig collector, y'all. She is dancing in everybody's wig every single season, child. Okay, every single season. This part had me weak. So they tried to go another round after this, but Joseline did stop it in her confessionals. Okay, so when she did stop the fight, it cut to her confessionals, and she was just popping her shit, pretty much trying to make it seem like Wetwet is the one that ruined her party. Like Wetwet is just so bad, and she's such a bad shit girl. Okay. So she's like, in her confession, she's like, yeah, my hubby was right. She was never going to be a good housewife, housemaid, house mom, stay-at-home mom, girl. I don't know, girl, whatever the fuck the name is, girl, whatever the position is that Joseline gave to Wetwet, she's like, oh yeah, like my hubby was right. He said that she wasn't gonna be a good one. Like I should have listened. Girl, bye. Girl, you knew that. You knew the girls did not respect Wetwet. You knew you didn't respect Wetwet. I don't even know why. Like, I know why you brought her back, of course, because of the entertainment. But that's not even really why you brought her back. Like, you brought her back to embarrass her. Like, you were plotting on Wetwet. Like, come on now. Like, you didn't even want her on the season, and it's so obvious. You're trying to blame her for your party going to shit when you're literally the one who told the DJ to stop the music, trying to be messy, told the DJ to stop the music. Okay. To be messy and to be nosy about an issue that you could have addressed any other time, but you wanted to address it in the middle of a party, like in the middle of your opening party. You ruined your party, if anything, like, because it didn't have to be addressed. I'm pretty sure they were going to be on their best behavior and not address it for you, but you're the one who literally addressed it. But the party is just so important. Like, girl, no. I see right through you, Joseline, girl. You're trying to build this storyline and you're trying to put an image in our head that Wetwet is the problem child here. No ma'am, no ham, no turkey. Okay, stop it. You never wanted her on the show. You were going to look for any reason to kick her off the show. Stop playing with me. Stop playing with my intelligence. Stop playing with my intelligence, ho. I see right through you. You didn't want Wetwet there. So now you're trying to put all the issues on Wetwet. So yeah, so again, Joseline is trying to make it seem like all of this is Wetwet's fault. Like, oh, you just ruined my party and da-da-da-da-da. No, girl, she did not. You literally, like I said, you're literally the one who stopped the music, stopped the party just to address an issue that didn't have to be addressed at your party. Girl, bye. So Wetwet didn't say that, of course, but Wetwet is like, girl, like and Andrea hit her first. You know what I'm saying? So Wetwet is like, girl, she hit me first, okay? Your minion hit me first. I was just defending myself. What did you want? Like, why are you trying to put this all on Wetwet? Girl, bye. Again, they both look a hot ass mess after they get into it. Shortly after, Joseline made them hug it out. Raven in the confessionals Raven's confessionals be having me weak. Like, I don't care too much for her because I feel like she's just a weak ass hoe who's desperate to be on the show. But her as a person, she has always had personality, and that girl is funny. Girl, she in the confessionals talking about she got PSD from the concrete. That had me weak. Anyways, so Isis and Andrea start to get into it. Isis is the girl with the long braids. I think she had braids, but the long braids, real pretty. She was one of the new girls that was definitely popping their shit. Okay, so she was popping it, girl. So pretty much she held on to Andrea's wig. I guess she smelt it. She said it was stank. So by the time that Andrea was done, but my thing is that if the wig stank, why did you hold on to it? Like, Isis, you're a little troublemaker, girl. You wanted an issue with Andrea. No shade, because if I pick up a wig trying to be nice to the next hoe after she got a wig snatched off, and you know what I'm saying, the next hoe that made you come out your wig, and I just take a whiff of it and it stank. Me personally, I'm gonna put it down. I'm not gonna hold on to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you acknowledge the fact that it was stank, but you were still holding it. So by the time that Andrea got done fighting and it was time for Andrea to get herself back together, you know what I'm saying, fix herself up, baby, she snatched that wig from Isis and looked at her, baby, gave her the death stare, girl. Looked at her crazy. And I understood why, because again, Isis was popping it about her wig. But Andrea was not trying to get in the field. Like, Isis confronted her immediately and she wasn't trying to get in the field again. So Isis is reading her down. I'm not gonna lie. They're arguing, and I feel like Isis was just eating her up, chewing her up, me personally. So while Jocelyn introduces the girls to Wetwet, Diamond is like, girl, I don't need Wetwet for nothing. Like, Wetwet can't do anything for me. I don't need her for nothing. They just they steady clowning her. Like, I don't know, girl. This housemaid position is just not good. Because like I said, it seems like a position you would give to somebody who has some type of respect within the circle. Wetwet clearly doesn't have any. Those girls do not respect Wetwet. Okay, they do not like that girl. They don't respect her, and it don't make it any better that you the housemaid and you supposed to be Jocelyn's right hand man, and Jocelyn is also disrespecting you. Like, how are they gonna take you serious? You know what I'm saying? So, Showgirl Nika, I think that's her name, Showgirl Nika. So Showgirl Nika starts popping it towards Black Diamond. Girl, eating her up. Eating her up. I'm not going to lie. Like, she was like, us new girls are popping our ish the way y'all thought y'all was. Like, she was just eating Black Diamond. Black Diamond was like, girl. And then they were going back and forth. And then Showgirl Nika was like, next. And then Black Girl Diamond was like, you're not nexting. Yeah, you're not nexting. Shit. And I'm like, girl, she's nexting you. And like, she's continuing to next you. Like, you know what I'm saying? So what now? Like, y'all just, the OGs was getting, like, y'all was getting punked by the new girls that night. I don't know what was going on, but they was chewing y'all up, gagging y'all. So Chinks turns over to Lexi Gold and she confronts her about something that happened in the past. Okay, so they're bringing their beef onto the show. You know, I don't understand the strip club culture and the whole pimping culture, girl. So something happened with their man. I don't know what happened, girl, but I just know it has something to do with what they do, okay? I don't really know that culture too well, so somebody explain it to me. But girl, Lexi Gold was like, girl, I knew you was going to come up here and do this. Chinks was like, girl, I need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that from you. So they start getting down, okay? And I'm talking about these two hoes is towering over everybody, girl. These two hoes is big. Okay, not big back, but big like stallions. You know what I'm saying? Stallions for sure. So, girl, they start getting down. Wetwet starts taking off. Okay. So before they start getting down, Wetwet starts to, be the housemaid and starts to take off Lexi's jewelry. Girl. And then they start getting down. And me personally, I feel like Chinks tore through Lexi. Okay, but Lexi still had her good moments in this scuffle. But girl, I feel like for the most part, I feel like Chinks was tearing through her, no shade. Walked her down. You know what I'm saying? Put her on the floor. She was tagging her. But again, like I said, I'm gonna give Lexi her 10s too. I don't feel like she won. Like, I'm not gonna give it to her, but I feel like she had some good moments in the scuffle. But Lexi, girl, how long did you have on that wig? No shade. Cause girl, them braids up under that wig, and that's all I'm gonna say, girl. Them cornrows was dingy, girl. Anyways, after the fight, after Lexi Gold and Chinks' fight, the girls start to party. Okay, y'all know how the Cabaret girls get down. Okay, if you know, you know. So shortly after that, Joseline gathers them back together to have a talk. You're going to go home if you do this. You're going to go home if you don't do this. Girl, y'all know how Joseline is, girl. Joseline basically tells them, like, don't disrespect me, y'all. I am not y'all enemy, okay? I am not y'all enemy, and y'all know she on probation, so she not trying to get into it with nobody. So she's just like, girl, you disrespect me, you're just gonna go home. Period. Point blank. Girl, so we approach the end of the party. You know what I'm saying? Joseline is telling the ladies, like, you know, y'all competing for 50K. You know what I'm saying? She started to hype up Chinks and Lexi and their fight. Talking about something like that was a fight worth 50K. And then Wetwet turns over to them, to Lexi and to Chinks, and was like, do you guys think that you guys can make amends? You know what I'm saying? Hug it out. Girl, I didn't see anything wrong with this, me personally, especially because she just got into it with Andrea and Joseline made them hug it out. You know what I'm saying? So Joseline turns over to Wetwet and tells Wetwet to shut the fuck up, okay? Disrespecting her in front of the girls once again, trying to humiliate her in front of the girls once again. And this is what I say when I say, like, I love Joseline's show, and I feel like Joseline's show is better than Baddies. I say this every single season. You know what I'm saying? Last season was a little bit questionable, but I still feel like the show overall is better than Baddies. You know what I'm saying? There's an angle, there's a plot, there's substance to her show. You know what I'm saying? Unlike Baddies, there's no substance, right? So I always felt like her show was better, but I feel like she's not at the top because she's her own downfall, like her attitude. And even though I see progress, her attitude is just so nasty. Like, she had no reason to talk to Wetwet in front of those girls like that. No reason. And then that goes back to my first point. You brought Wetwet back this season solely to embarrass her. And I don't understand why. Girl, if you didn't want her on the show, because clearly she has a vendetta against Wetwet because Wetwet auditioned for Baddies. If you didn't want her on the show, you should have never brought her back onto the show. But you being you brought her back onto the show. You plotted on her. I'm pretty sure you're the one who got her jumped. Me personally, girl, I just feel like that's not really a coincidence. I'm pretty sure you gave them the green light to jump Wetwet. Like, and then you kick her out, and it's just a lot. And then you're disrespecting her all the time on the show. It's just a lot. And then you do it for no reason. At this point, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Her attitude, I'm telling you, her attitude, man, I'm telling you, she's her own downfall. Okay, and that was the end of the masquerade party. So the next day, Joseline and Ballistic come to the house. The house is, baby, it is so big. It is so gorgeous. Girl, I just wish in this scene, Joseline would have wiped the crust off her. You know what? Never mind, girl. She still had crust in her mouth during the scene. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I just couldn't stop. It was just in my face. I was mad, girl. So Joseline tells Ballistic that the girls do not deserve the house. And I kind of agree with her because, girl, if only she knew how they was acting in that damn Sprinter on the way there. So, child, you know what I'm saying? So she tells Ballistic she feels like the girls do not deserve the house, and how one of the BBWs catfished her, and how that BBW was boring. Girl, she was just girl, it was girl. I kind of feel bad for the BBW. The BBW that she was referring to, I think her name is Spicy Mommy, something like that. Spicy Mommy, okay? I'm still trying to learn their names, and I'm not going to lie. Throughout the episode when they did have confessionals, Zeus was not putting their names by, like, when they had their confessionals and stuff like that in their interviews, Zeus was not putting their names as they were talking. Anyways, so the girls get on the party bus, leave the hotel, and head to the house. Isis confronts Andrea on the bus, girl. Pretty much made her stand on business. And at first, Drea was not trying to do it, girl. She was not trying to get into it with Isis. But Isis was like, girl, you was popping a whole lot of ish the night before. Girl, now you have to get in the paint. Okay? You have to get in the paint. Get in the paint. Okay? So they argue, but Isis made that whole stand on business. Okay? The first round, Isis tore Andrea up. The second round, Andrea had her in like a nasty, nasty, nasty headlock, child. Okay, so Isis really couldn't do much. But girl, they were pulling on her fresh braids. I just know that hurt, girl. I just know that hurt, girl. Isis had like fresh braids in her hair and they were pulling. So Danny ends up calling out a fade with Isis right after her first 2 rounds with Andrea, because Isis also called out Danny right before that. Like, girl, you know what I'm saying? You her friend, you was popping ish too, you can get it too. Okay, so I don't know if Isis was tired or if Isis was just like, girl, she realized, you know, they was in a sprinter and she didn't want to fight. I don't know. But girl, she did not want to fight at first, even though she had just called her out and just got done finishing, you know, just got done fighting Andrea. She did not want to fight. Girl, she kept saying, girl, when we get off the bus, Danny was like, girl, don't make me attack you, girl. These OGs are cocky, arrogant, and it's getting on my nerves, okay? Danny did not, it's bro, because I seen Danny and Andrea's personalities change. Like, when they first came into the house last season, they did not act like this, bro. They were so much more likable before they became minions, and they are just so arrogant now. I can't stand it. So, girl, Jocelyn literally poisoned these girls. So Isis gets up and Danny runs up immediately. Isis was tearing her up immediately, knocked her into the seat and towered over her, was tearing her up. Danny started to pull on her fresh braids. Drea jumped into the fight from behind. Weird. You're weird. You could barely beat her one-on-one, so now you gotta jump in. You're weird. Why are y'all jumping? You just had 2 rounds with her back to back. Why are you jumping into somebody else's fight? I don't understand. You could have caught your one right. Girl, you could have caught. Girl, I'm pretty sure she would have gave you another one if you wanted it. Why are y'all jumping so much? Y'all are weird. Ugh, and y'all can't fight either. It's annoying. So, girl, Drea gets her lick back. Not her lick back, but she gets licks in from behind, jumping Isis while she's into it with Danny. A mess. So, Oceans calls out Nika. Okay? She tells Nika the night before, Jocelyn had to keep telling y'all to be quiet. Why is y'all talking while Jocelyn is talking? Y'all disrespectful. So I need that because you're disrespecting Jocelyn. Pretty much. That's pretty much already, girl, you're already meat munching. You ain't even in the house with Jocelyn yet. Girl. So I just know Oceans is going to be around for a long time because she's already meat munching, already a self-proclaimed minion, and you ain't even stepped foot in the house yet. You don't even know if she gonna keep you in the house, and you already, that's what I'm saying. So Oceans is clearly gonna be around for a long time. I just know she made it through the cabaret. I know she was not one of the ones to get sent home. Y'all know Jocelyn thrives off of the girls who are so weak-minded that they are willing to be minions for her. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Oceans was tearing through the girls, okay? Oceans was getting down. She was getting down, okay? Oceans was getting down. I'm not going to lie, okay? I am not going to lie. So, what else, girl? She had her on the floor. She had Nika on the floor. Showgirl Nika, had her on the floor. Wetwet was not making it any better. Wetwet was instigating and being messy the whole time. Girl, didn't make no situation better. Wetwet starts yet another fight. So she starts to commend one of the girls for not standing for jumping. Jayla. So she turns over to Jay. So at this point, Wetwet is making her rounds with all the girls. Everybody gonna have to stand on business around Wetwet. So Wetwet turns over to Jayla and she's like, you know what? Like, I commend you. You don't go for that jumping stuff. I like that. This, that, and the third. But she turns the conversation around with Jayla and she's like, well, Jayla, who you got an issue with? Like, Who do you need that from? So Jayla turns over to Oceans and she's like, so I heard you got a problem. Like, do you got a problem? Ocean said again, y'all was talking while Jocelyn was talking. And y'all kept talking too much. Y'all wouldn't shut up. So girl, mid-sentence, Ocean's talking to her, telling her her issue. Jayla runs up and gets put on the floor within not even 10 seconds. It was like 2-3 seconds, 2.5 seconds. How do you run up so aggressively and this girl is already towering over you, tearing through you? I don't understand. Oceans was tearing them up. Like, usually the ones who be so eager to fight are the ones that get beat up. Oceans was eager to fight and she was walking them down. I'm not going to lie. She had 2 girls on the floor back to back. It's crazy. Girl. So, Wetwet again, being messy. See, Wetwet addresses Lexi and Chinks again. Chinks starts to take off her shoes. Girl, Chinks just be ready to get into it, girl. Chinks, I don't know how deep their beef is, but Chinks be ready every single time. And then Lexi just be trying to be on some cute stuff, but Chinks be trying to get into it. So, girl, everybody is like, wait till y'all get off the bus. Y'all too big. That's literally what they told them. Like, if y'all go fight, y'all need to wait until y'all get off the bus. Y'all too big to be doing all that. Okay, so the ladies pull up to the house. Okay, Jocelyn is talking to them, basically telling them like they got a pool party the next day. Do not fight at the pool party. What y'all do in the house is what y'all do in the house, but do not bring that to the pool party. So while she's talking, Wetwet is so funny, y'all. So Wetwet starts twerking, like just being Wetwet pretty much. Jocelyn tell Wetwet, disrespecting her again, telling her like, go outside, like calling her out her name, go outside, ho, I'm tired of you, go outside, we close and lock the door. So she kicks Wetwet out the house almost immediately as soon as Wetwet comes in. And Wetwet, at this point, I feel like Wetwet knew what type of timing Jocelyn was on, because once she got sent out the first time, she was like, okay, y'all can send me home if y'all want to. I don't care no more. Like, y'all can really send me home. Don't care. So outside being Wetwet, girl, popping her ish, twerking. Keep in mind, girl, they are in like a high-end neighborhood, girl. And Wetwet is outside showing her ass, okay? Showing it, girl. Okay, so soon after the girls get their rooms, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 Wetwet gets invited back inside. So Wetwet starts popping her ish to Jocelyn immediately. So she's like, well, since we on the subject of helping people, you said you were going to pay for my teeth. You said you were going to pay for my teeth. I got the receipts on my phone. Being messy. Wetwet is so messy. I got the receipts. You said you was going to do it. You never did it. Like, what's up? Like, you know what I'm saying? Jocelyn was like, girl, I don't care. Like, I said I might. And then Wetwet was like, no, you said that you were going to again. I have the text messages. Girl, she was chewing Jocelyn up. And this, I don't know why it surprised me, because Wetwet never was scared of anybody. But like, she was, you know what I'm saying? But she was still like, Jocelyn talked to her crazy. But like, she was not playing with Jocelyn, girl. She was in Jocelyn's face. She was popping her ish. Girl, she did not care. She did not care, girl. Jocelyn. And again, Jocelyn is on probation, so Jocelyn is clearly not gonna, you know what I'm saying? So it gets to the point where, Wetwet eating her up so bad, she had to call Andrea downstairs. Girl, what is Andrea gonna do? And guess what Andrea does? She comes downstairs and she's trying to reason with Wetwet. And then it gets to the point where Jocelyn's like, you know what, just go outside, go, bye. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're kicked out. They locked the door. Wetwet still popping her ish, popping it, still chewing Jocelyn up. You know what I'm saying? Oh, da-da-da-da-da. Like, when people hear the Cabaret, they hear Wetwet. She was chewing her up. I helped you build this. Girl, eating. It was so funny. But then the police pulls up, and then it cuts to Wetwet in the back of the police car crying. I'm like, this episode is all over the place, girl. Joseline went into the room so fast, girl. She said, I'm on probation. Girl, I don't want no smoke with 12, girl. I don't want no smoke with the popo, girl. Okay, Joseline left so fast, made everybody, girl, they scurried like some roaches when you turn the lights on, ho. Okay, them girls was gone in their rooms when the police came. But I did low-key feel sorry for Wetwet, though. You know, she was in the back of the police car crying, basically like saying like she's still struggling, she's still going through a lot. Like, you know, I just felt bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you took this girl who's clearly damaged, clearly brought her onto the show again to embarrass her, to disrespect her, to humiliate her, to embarrass her, to have her jumped, to have her beat up and disrespected by the girls. You're weird, knowing that you didn't like her. Knowing that you didn't like her. You knew you ain't like her when you brought her back. You knew what you were doing. I think the whole situation is just so sad, girl. It's so sad. All right, so I'm guessing when the police leaves, they gather back into the front area, and Joseline is like, you know what I'm saying, again, at the pool party, I don't want no issues. None of y'all better not fight. If y'all have an issue, y'all need to square up and get it over with now. And that is exactly what happened, girl. Again, Chinks, girl. Chinks is she. I don't know how many times is you gonna fight Lexi? Like, she's milking this beef. I'm not gonna lie. And Lexi honestly seems like she doesn't even want to do it for real. Like, she just seems like she just wants to enjoy her experience in the cabaret. And here comes Chinks. Here comes Chinks, want to fight every second. So they get into it again. And I noticed the security definitely lets them fight a lot longer than they let the baddies fight. I don't know. I noticed that. But yeah, so that's exactly where the episode ended, with Chinks versus Lexi Gold. I be want to call her Lexi Blow so bad. I miss my girl Lexi Blow. All right, y'all. So that is all I have for you guys today. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on that post notification bell so you know every single time I post a new video. If you made it to the end, go ahead and drop a purple heart emoji so I know who is a real MessyMya member and heard me pop my ish for the last almost 30 minutes. It's MessyMya, girl. I'm out. Bye.